Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Right, Maggie?
That's right.
Today, join us as we take a tour of Fort Worth and Dallas, Texas. We're actually in the middle of downtown Dallas right now, and we're going to be taking you around the downtown, around the entire Metroplex, and out to Fort Worth. So come along and enjoy.
Thank you.
First up is the Reunion Tower, and this landmark of the Dallas skyline was actually built in April of 1978, and it's 561 feet up into the city skyline. It still stands as the 15th tallest structure on the skyline of Dallas. Now, originally it was freestanding, but it was eventually built into the Hyatt Regency Hotel complex. And on a clear day from up there, you can not only see all of the Dallas skyline, but you can see Fort Worth 32 miles away.
It's a cool ride going up.
It is. We did speed that elevator trip up just a little bit, but here on the inside, there's a nice enclosed area if the weather's not good or is too cool, but then you can also go outside and the views of the city are amazing. One of the things about Dallas that I really liked is the old buildings right next to the new buildings.
Yeah, it did look just amazing.
They've preserved the historical part of their city, but they've also grown and modernized too. And that traffic.
Sometimes there's water down there.
Yeah.
There was a little bit, but it'd been pretty dry.
Next up, it's time to take a break at the Klyde Warren Park. And the Klyde Warren Park is very unique because it's not only a green space in the middle of downtown Dallas, but it's actually built right over the top of an interstate.
So it's an overpass.
Yeah, a really, really big overpass.
Very cool.
You feel like you're going in a tunnel when you go underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Klyde Warren Park actually opened in 2012. So it's 10 years old now, and it's being renovated so that the parts of the park that are used the most, they're going to offer more of those things and less of the things that were used the least. Now, the food trucks line up all the way around it, and I think everybody that works in downtown Dallas must come to those food trucks.
It was busy.
We decided we had to try one, so that Greek truck right there became our lunch. And really good Greek food, I gotta say.
What a view sitting there.
Yeah. Cathy had a falafel gyro, and I had a regular gyro. A little bit of mint in them. Really good.
Yeah, they were good.
Right across the street from the park is the Dallas Museum of Art.
This place was amazing.
Yeah, and I gotta commend them. The museum is not only fantastic and huge. We only got through the 4th and 3rd levels. We didn't make it to the 2nd and 1st, but it's free.
Yeah.
Now, once we were inside the building, we found we weren't able to do video, so we did do still pictures of the inside of the museum and wanted to share with you some of the things that they do. This piece is from Mexico, 100 BC. This piece is also from Mexico, around 800. Now that's a Peruvian ceramic trumpet. They had a special exhibit of Octavio Medellin's. He's done a lot of artwork around the Dallas area. One entire gallery was American artwork. Another one was all Spanish colonial. This bed was made for Henry Clay if he would have become president in 1844, and this is a Gorham silver dressing table. This piece is from the Jin Dynasty in China, And that's an African helmet made in the late 19th century. That's an actual mummy and cartonnage from Egypt in the 19th dynasty. And that piece is silver over wood.
It was pretty cool.
Now, Pioneer Plaza is actually the second most visited landmark in downtown Dallas. This was a 4.2 acre parking lot, and when the city was able to buy that back, they turned it into Pioneer Plaza. It has an old cemetery on the very back end of it, and then this part that was the parking lot pays tribute to what really Dallas was founded on. There's actually statues of 3 cowboys and 40 cattle in the midst of a cattle drive coming down the hill. It is impressive.
Yes, it was.
You always think of oil when you hear Dallas, but cattle is where it all started.
I can hear happy trails going on in the back of my mind.
And it's down through the water. I mean, it's just beautifully done. Now, next up, we're going over to Founders Plaza to see the Gideon Pemberton cabin. Now, this cabin was built around 1850, and it was originally built elsewhere and moved into the city about 7.5 miles to be put here at Founders Plaza. It was moved in 1971.
A lot of people come here just to get their pictures taken in front of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is really a landmark in the middle of the skyscrapers and everything, right in the middle of the downtown. Now, next up is the Texas School Book Depository. And the depository housed school books and warehoused school books, but became the most famous for what happened on the 6th floor of the building. That's where Lee Harvey Oswald, back in 1963, shot those fatal shots that killed President John F. Kennedy and wounded Governor John Connally. Now, Abraham Zapruder was the fellow that actually has the photos of the assassination. And that plaque was where he was standing when he shot those photos. Now, this plaque was placed there. This was the speech that President Kennedy was going to give that day. That's a little map that gives you an idea of how this all fit together. The area you see over there across the pavement, what becomes known as the grassy knoll.
They do tours.
Yeah, they do tours of the book depository, and then they also come out and show you the landmarks here. If you see that mark there, that's one of the 2 spots on the road where the bullets actually wounded our president. Now, that area known as the grassy knoll is actually Dealey Plaza. And Dealey Plaza is known as the birthplace of Dallas. That was the location of the first home in Dallas. It was named in honor of George Bannerman Dealey, who was publisher of the Dallas Morning News. Now, next up, we have the John F. Kennedy Memorial Plaza. This is only located about a block and a half away from Dealey Plaza. And it was built in 1970, and it was designed to symbolize the freedom of President Kennedy's spirit. There's an entrance on opposite sides, the 2 entrances into it, and it's designed to look as though it were floating by an unseen magnetic force. when you're inside, you can block out the city, and all you'll notice are the sky and the ground. Now next up is the Dallas Farmers Market. And Dallas Farmers Market has operated continually since 1941. And the new section now is called the market shops. And it is like a giant food court. You can eat inside or out, as well as some other shops.
They had some nice gift shops.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
The Maggie Cam. Right across the street, there were shops at the market.
It was a pretty neat area.
It really was. And right at the end of it is called the shed. And the shed is the outdoor part of the market for the vendors with the fruits and vegetables, farm fresh eggs. Now we decided while we were there, we should get some lunch. So we decided to go to Beyond the Butchers. And this menu will give you a little idea of everything that they offer. So we got our food and ate outside. It was a beautiful day. I had a Texas Cuban, we had grilled Brussels sprouts, and Cathy had a loaded up baked potato.
And it was good.
Next up, probably one of our favorite things that we did was the Fort Worth Stockyards. And the Fort Worth Stockyards are 98 acres in the middle of old Fort Worth. It was started in 1866, and by 1907, they had sold 1 million cattle a year. It was such a big deal that Swift and Armour both built packing plants right there at the stockyard. Now that is the Texas Trail of Fame, and it runs up and down the sidewalks on both sides of the street of people that were famous around the stockyards. But the thing that's the most famous around the stockyards are their daily cattle drives. And every day at 11:30 in the morning and again at 4 in the afternoon, they have a cattle drive. Now,
We were just in time.
yeah, we got there just before 4 o'clock. And they also do rodeos. They have a gunfight reenactment every now and then. But this shows you how the cattle drives were formed. And there they are, the stars of the show.
Yeah, they were amazing. They were so beautiful.
Now those longhorns, tip to tip, can be anywhere from 6 foot to 9 foot long. And you can tell the way they walk that there's some weight to those
I
horns.
was just sitting there thinking of their poor muscles.
You gotta have a strong neck.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you're really adventuresome, you can even get your picture taken seated atop one of those longhorns.
What a nice picture.
Now, over in the stockyard pens, as soon as they're done with their parade down the street, they're allowed to go over there and graze. And they must have had some practice doing this without putting their neighbors' eyes out. I don't know how they handle those horns so gracefully, but they do. Now, the stockyards, business around the stockyards tapered off in the 1950s, but they didn't let it just close down or go into disrepair. It's been turned into a multitude of shops, and
They're preserving their history
Yeah.
too. They're not just taking advantage of it, they're really preserving it.
now this area where the train tracks go right through the middle of it was a really nice shopping area, and anything from Western wear. My favorite thing was the raccoons playing poker. Now, the oil part of the industry of Dallas comes from Southfork Ranch.
It has to.
Well, kind of, sort of. But we went out to Parker, Texas, to the home of the Ewing Ranch. If you've seen the Dallas TV shows, starting back in 1978 and the reboot of the show that happened in 2012 for 3 seasons, you'll recognize some of the faces on the wall. This is actually from the original show and how all the characters were connected to each other. Some of them with guns, you see.
That's right.
And then there's also one for the cast of the 3 seasons of the new show. Now, if you like Southfork and you're into the Ewings, anything and everything with the Southfork brand on it is available there in their gift shop. You can even get a Ewing 1 license plate and put on the front of your car. And if you really want to ham it up, you can have your picture taken
That's
with
right.
the Ewings. They had a nice little memorial for Larry Hagman, J.R. Ewing. After a short tram ride, you're actually at the Southfork Ranch. And this is the home that was used in all but the first 5 episodes of the show. The first 5 were done as a pilot. Once they saw the show was a success, they secured this home. And the inside of the home was done on a sound studio in California. But all of the shots you're seeing here on the outside, this is where they were shot. There's the driveway the cars used to come up. There's breakfast every morning out on the patio, right there by the pool.
I love the backstories,
Yeah,
the behind the scenes. They were great.
It's an excellent tour. Highly recommend the
Yes.
tour. It is no longer a working ranch, but they do still have some cattle there. Now, if the newer shows, they actually use this interior, from that living room to the dining room to JR and Sue Ellen's bedroom with the raised bed out in the middle of the room. That was very unique.
It was.
And their portraits on the wall. To the kitchen. The little sitting area. And the giant chandelier.
That was just amazing.
Now, when JR was actually killed in the new show, that was the Mexican hotel room. That's actually one of the bedrooms there in the home. Now, once you've completed the tour of the inside of the home, you're free to walk the grounds. We went over to Lincoln's and Longhorns, and this is where Jock Ewing's original Lincoln Mark V is setting there. Less than 30,000 miles, absolutely pristine down to the velour interior. I was surprised a cattleman didn't have leather. Next up was the Water Garden in Fort Worth. And the Water Garden was actually constructed in 1974 right next to the Fort Worth Convention Center.
This is the active water pool.
The active water pool is really neat. It's the first one you see along the street, and
It is very active.
yeah, it's massive and it's nice. It's designed, you can be active with it. You can see somebody standing there in it, a couple sitting down in the middle of it. You can be as immersed in the water as what you want to be. Now, this is the only one that had no water. It's called the Mountain. But just beyond the mountain was the aerated water pool. They all have their own sounds.
Yes.
That one was designed to make it look like you could walk across that table of water.
And this was my favorite, the quiet water pool.
It was very calm, very
Yes.
serene.
You felt like you were down in a valley.
Yeah, you went way down the stairs to get to it. Trees all the way around it. In fact, you'll even see the water in the little railing that goes all the way around the top of it there too.
So serene.
Well, Cathy, it's been a few fun days in Dallas-Fort Worth, hasn't it?
It sure has.
What did you think of it overall?
I was very impressed. I just could not believe. I used to live in the area years ago and never really saw much of Dallas or Fort Worth because I lived in between.
This was the first time I'd ever been in the area, and it's very diverse. There's a lot of new in the city. There's a lot of old in history. There's the museums, the stockyards, and then this.
This is amazing, right in the middle of the city.
Well, we do want to thank you for joining us. If you had fun on our trip with us, be sure and give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. And if you haven't already, be sure to like and hit that little notification, or sorry, subscribe, and be sure to hit that little notification bell. That way you'll know where we go on all of our travels. And until next time,
thank you for following us as we follow the moon.
Thanks. Thanks for watching today.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.
And be sure to ring the notification bell so you'll know when new videos come out.
Don't forget to follow us on social media too.